G'day, let's have a look at this KF CPTEC Ratcheting Cable Cutter. So this one here specifically is for copper and aluminium up to 300 millimeters square. So quite thick cable, quite beefy. And the use for this is for those really thick cables or hardcore cables that you don't actually want to cut with just a normal, say, combination pliers. So this one here is actually a medium voltage power line cable. So you're not going to be able to cut that with your normal combination cutters or any smaller cutters like this. That's where really you need to step it up to something like this. What you can do is you can actually use shears. So this one here is just a Milwaukee set, and you can put that through and cut it, but you do need quite a bit of force to actually push that in order to get that chopped. So anything much bigger than this, you're going to have a hard time cutting it with normal shears. So that's exactly where a tool like this comes in. So a ratcheting cable cutter. So this one here, it's got really nice handles. I like that orange color there. So that's just a hard plastic. And then the black one here, you can see is grippy, and it's got a really nice texture to it. So I really like it when tool brands do this and they put that texture on it, because, so for example here, this is a rubber finish as well, but this is smooth. So if your hands do get sweaty or when you do work in a moist environment, that can become quite slippery. But things like this is really nice with that grip. You can see that texture there, so that's really nice. It'll just displace some of that water a bit better. So if your hands do get sweaty, you'll still be able to have a really nice grip on this. And I also like these stoppers up the top so your hands don't slip forward. That tends to be a thing on VDE tools. So you can see this is obviously VDE rated because you don't want your hands slipping to touch that. Obviously this isn't VDE rated, so don't use it for anything live, but I like those stoppers there so your hands kind of don't slide forward if you're working at different angles. But this up the top, the two blades, so actually I'll open this up. It does have a little lock down here, so you can have it in that locked position. You pull it forward, undo that, and then that arm slides out, and then actually you've got that ratcheting mechanism. So you can use it with two hands if you really need to for some thicker stuff, but just one hand works really well. So you can see you just kind of ratchet it. It is a little bit slower than the other cutters, but that's exactly where that leverage comes from. So what you can then do is you can push this forward and this blade just swings around, and then you can put your cable in. So as I was touching on before, it's made out of these two big blades that actually cut the cable. So this is high quality steel. This one here specifically is forged, and then it actually goes through an oil hardening process, which is really good because you want these blades, especially these edges here, you want that to be really hard as that slices through the cable. The nice thing here is as well is this actually swings around. So if I hold this handle forward, you can see that position that there, this will just slide all the way forward. So that's nice and easy. You can put your cable through and adjust it. But what's really good is these edges here, you can see how that tapers off. It's not a flat edge. So it tapers off because of clearance here, so it doesn't actually hit or collide anything. On some cheap tools, you can see that's a really defining feature. On cheap tools, if you try to do that, that will just hit and then you'll end up damaging this edge. But that's really nice what these guys have done, rounded off that edge there really nicely, so it comes back no problem. And likewise on the other side, although that's a little bit less important for this way, but when you are coming backwards here, that is also, you can see that little bit of a gap there, which is exactly what you want to see. So that's really, really good. And you can see quite nice and smooth operation there. So there's always a bit of a trade-off. You don't want it to be too smooth because then it means that this joint here is a bit loose, and then you'll get wobble and you're going to damage the tool. So you want to be somewhere where it's nice and reasonably to move, but you still want a little bit of friction there. So that's good. All right, again, then we've got also another hole up the top here, which is good. You can just use that to actually store the tool, so you can hang it on something, click that on, and this can just hang somewhere. The tool itself did actually come in a little plastic case, so you can put it in there and it sits in there really nice. You can lock it up and you can kind of store it away. But I don't think I'll be using that. I want to use this tool, so it's going to be up on my bench. So just kind of have it out is nice. But all right, let's actually get to a little demo. So what you can do is you can, if the gap is big enough, you can just slide a cable through it. So actually let's just do that. Ratchet up to about where we want, put that cable through, ratchet it till it grabs hold. So it's got good hold of it now. And then you can see this, I can just simply use one hand, really only two fingers are sticking on that, and it just sliced through that, no problem. So really nice. Whereas with that other Milwaukee, the actual shears there, I was struggling to cut it, but something like this is exactly what this is for. So really nice and smooth and easy to cut. And I'm also using it right down the bottom here. So if you do cut thicker stuff, then you might have to use it on the back of the handles to get a little bit more leverage, and obviously use more fingers and more hands to get a bit more pressure on it. but this is really nice. It just slices through that really, really well. We can have a look at this thicker cable here as well. So the conductors on the inside of here are actually thinner, so this will be easier to cut, but this is shielding and it's got quite a bit of insulation as well. So I mean, you can cut this cable with these other shears relatively easily. You can do it with one hand, but again, thicker stuff and more shielding is exactly what you're going to want this sort of tool for. So again, slide it forward, put that through. There you go, you can see it, and then just start cutting it, and super nice and easy. That ratcheting mechanism is really good because it just amplifies the force. And it does take a little bit longer, obviously, to cut, but again, with thicker cables, that's not gonna matter because you simply won't be able to cut it with other tools. You're gonna need something like this. But because it does take a little bit of ratcheting to actually cut it, it multiplies that force, but it just does take a little bit longer. So really happy with this tool. I think it's really good value for money. And okay, there you go. You can see that's struggling a little bit more, but just simply because I'm using that one hand down the bottom. So if we use it up here as well, we can clip that, and that's cut double this, a much thicker cable. All right, there you go. That's just a quick overview of this KF CPTEC ratcheting cable cutter. Really nice. I think this is a really good value for money tool. I'll leave links below if you want to check it out. You can get these on Amazon. They're not too expensive, but I think they're going to last you quite a while, and they'll be a really nice tool. So links down below, and if you want to see more of this sort of stuff, definitely consider subscribing. As always, have a good one.